And with us now is Nebraska Republican Congressman Don Bacon, a retired Air Force general who serves on the House Armed Services Committee. Thank you very much for being with us today, Congressman. The executive branch has been on something of a spree during the shutdown, killing suspected drug runners on the high seas, spending money not appropriated by Congress, shutting agencies, firing workers, new rescissions. The Speaker says that he won't reward Senate Democrats by bringing back the House until the blue team signs off on the House spending bill. But in the meantime, there's zero pushback to the executive branch. So it's a big loaded question, but should the House be in session at this point on all that?
We've already passed our spending bill that funds government. By the way, it was Biden's budget that we passed to extend for 7 weeks. So I think the real actions right now is in the Senate. And I think John Thune, who I admire him, he's a friend, he's from South Dakota. I fly with him quite a bit to go to Washington, D.C. He's offered a lifeline to Democrats if they refuse to take it. Offering appropriations bills, it requires 60 votes in the Senate. They have to be bipartisan. And yet, Chuck Schumer is saying no. And I think that this really is the way out. And most Republicans want to compromise on the COVID era ACA tax credits. We don't want to just totally abolish them. We don't want to see premiums skyrocket, but we do think there should be income caps, and we do think they should go directly to the individual and not companies. But I think these are things a lot of Democrats would agree with. But when you really dig deep with folks across the aisle, and even I'm talking with the ones that are more moderate, they'll be candid with you as you try to negotiate this. In the end, this is really about President Trump. And it's about fighting President Trump. It's about placating their base. And I hope after this No Kings rally that maybe they'll be ready to do business this week. But Thune is offering bipartisan appropriations bills. That should be the way out for Democrats if they take it.
Yeah, we've been watching the No Kings rallies that were happening all across the country yesterday, and they were significant in many places. Also, Senate Democrats voted down a full year of military authorization last week. Majority Leader John Thune trying a different approach this week, and it's a package that would cover troop pay as well as the Department of Labor and Health and Human Services. The Speaker has been non-committal, but if Thune succeeds, the question is, will that get through the House? What do you say on that?
If it passes the Senate, it will pass the House. And John Thune is offering bipartisan bills. Even the bill that the Democrats voted against last week came out of the committee in a very bipartisan manner. So I think the voters are starting to figure this out. This is a Democrat shutdown. It's a Chuck Schumer shutdown. And you can see it if you look at, there's this numbers out there showing what's the odds of the Democrats retaking the House. It is plummeted in the last couple of weeks. Well, the Democrats still have an advantage, but this shutdown is taking a toll on Democrats, in my opinion. When they're being offered bipartisan bills and they're saying no, I think it undermines their arguments there. So I think John Thune's doing the right thing. He's a smart man, and he should be teeing up. These bipartisan bills are coming out of committee to fund government piece by piece. And actually, he's offered to negotiate these ACA tax credits through the appropriations process. And yet the Democrats don't take the lifeline.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting week heading into week 4. Also, I want to get your take on what's happening with Venezuela. The Navy failed to kill 2 of the crew members on a suspected drug smuggling boat. We've been reporting on this. But having survived, those 2 are not being tried for alleged crimes or held by the military, while the Trump administration is just sending them back to their home countries of Ecuador and Colombia. This has been a huge story for us all week. What do you make of it? What is going on here?
Just like the crime in the cities, I think the president has identified a problem that the American people want to solve. And that's drugs coming to our country. They're killing 100,000 people a year. I've lost younger brothers to this drug epidemic. I think everybody in America knows someone who's died from fentanyl overdose or something along those lines. But the challenge here is the president taking the right solution to these problems? I think in this case, he needs to come to Congress and make his case that we have the legal, that it's legal to go to war with these drug runners and these narco gangs, and so let's make sure we have the legal thing covered. And you do that by coming to Congress and asking for our approval, the War Powers Act. And also, you got to assure us that the intelligence is right. I think if the president does both of these things, that there is general support. When you lose 100,000 people a year, Americans want this addressed. You got to remember, in Vietnam, we lost 58,000 people over 10 years. This is 100,000 per year. So I would challenge the president and his administration, come to the Congress, get approval, make your legal case, and as sure as you have the right intelligence, I think you'll have support. And I think most Americans will support it as well.
Can I just ask you what your reaction was when you were watching the news yourself, watching these boats being blown up? I mean, 27 people are dead, and we still don't really have the answers that we need. I'm just wondering, as your phone was blowing up like the rest of ours, what were you thinking?
Well, two things, and as I've already laid it out, as a retired general and a commander 5 times, I would want to have reassurance times 5 that I have the legal cover to do these things. For the president to do this, he has to have authorities from Congress, in my opinion.
Right.
Secondly, I'd like to make sure you have the intelligence right. And the last thing you want is a mistaken, taking down a boat that has, whether it's tourists or fishermen, anything along those lines. And we just got to make sure we have that right. And I think if you have those things right and assured, the fact that we're losing 100,000 people a year, that moves Americans. We got to fix this. It's like the crime in the big cities. The Democrats are in denial that it's a problem. I think the president's right. We have a serious problem with crime in our cities, but I don't know if the solution is right by sending guard forces. If anything, that's a temporary solution, and I have to question the legality of it. But we should have this discussion. What is it going to take to make our big cities safe? And so I think the president's identified the problems. I'm not always sure the answer that his administration has taken is the right one or the legal one. And that's where I would focus my attention on.
Okay.
Let's get the solution right.
Yeah, and also the president has given the CIA the green light to carry out strikes in Venezuela, and today is threatening actions against Colombia. That's new. And after the country's president demanded compensation for the death of citizens that he does say were wrongly targeted as drug runners. So, you're talking about Congress getting involved, that's what needs to happen. But when do you see that happening? How soon could that happen?
Well, we gotta speak up. I'm one of the Republicans. I'm a Reagan Republican, conservative. I represent this district, and I believe in the Article 1 authorities that the Constitution gives Congress, and we should defend that. It's the last 20, 30 years we keep seeing increasingly the party that's in power giving its authorities over to the president. We should stand up. But I would say to the president, to the administration, if you want this to be successful, you should come to Congress, make your case,
right,
and get the authority to do these things. We gave authorities to George Bush to go after terrorists, right? This is just a little more stretch going after narco gangs or killing 100,000. I think Congress would do it.
We got to leave it there. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Congressman Don Bacon, thank you so much